Alright then, so today we're going to take a look at doing an indicator system on your vehicles. You can switch indicators, and you can also put your four-way hazard lights on. Looking quite cool. So let's take a look at this. Stay tuned. Alright then, so in Blender or whatever 3D application you use, you want to get your vehicle and make sure that you have a separate material for each side of indicators. So the left side, I got two materials here, one signal left and one signal right. So if I select signal left, you can see, oh, underside is, there you go. So it's just the rear signal, the side wing signal, and the front signal. And if I select right, obviously it's the opposite. So you just want to make sure you separate the two sides of the car, the indicators, so they can be manipulated separately, and then just export it and import it into Unreal. Alright then, so once we are inside of Unreal and you've imported your car and set it up, I'm using the same car I've been using for the last two videos. So if you need to know how to bring a car in and set it up, then check those two videos out first. But a few things we need to set up first before we get into the coding. The coding isn't too bad. The setup takes more time, but we'll try and get through it as quick as possible. So if you go into your project settings and your input, you want to make three inputs. You want to make signal right and set it to whatever keys you want. Signal left and hazard lights, or four ways, whatever you want to call it, and set those key inputs up. And then we need to set up some materials here. So if we scroll down, we've got our signal left and signal right that we named inside of Blender. So what we want to do first, let's take a look at our mesh. If we select our mesh in our car blueprint, select your mesh and scroll down and just check these two materials. The left one is element 13 and the right is 14. So just keep a mental note of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly just change the name. So left we want to change to, say, on. I've done that capitalization wrong. Let me just fix that. So my caps off, right? On with a capital O, and we'll change the right one to off. Now with the off, we're going to leave it as is. With the on, we're going to open it up and we want to make a few changes here. So what we want to do is pull off the RGB and type in multiply there, and we will pull off that and do another multiply and plug that into the emissive color. So on this first B pin now, on the first multiply, we're going to pull off and type in sine, hit enter. We'll get an error, but that's okay. It's because there's nothing in the input. So pull off the input and type in multiply again. I forgot as well, select the sine node over here, and period. We want to switch this to 0.2. And then off of this multiply A pin, we want to pull off and type in time, and with the time selected here, we want to select period and put in, I believe it's 1. Yeah, 1. So put in 1 in there, and off the B pin, pull off, type in scalar parameter, and you can give it whatever name you want. I'm going to put frequency. It doesn't matter, we're not going to access this from code, so you can name it whatever you want. And with that selected, under the default value, put 0.2. And then over here, we want to just pull off the B pin on this one and do another scalar parameter. That's not what I'm looking for. Another scalar parameter. And again, call this whatever you want. I'll just call it emit. It doesn't matter, you're not going to need that later on. With this selected here, we want to give it a default value of 0.2. No, we don't. We want to give it a value of, is it 0.2? Yeah, it may be actually. No, it's 1. Put a 1 in there. Once it compiles, there you go. We got a nice flashing, blinking indicator light. So that is all good. Let's hit save on that. And once that is saved, we're going to close it down and right click on it, and we're going to duplicate. And for this, we're going to call this signal, I don't know, light. Call it signal light, whatever you want to call it. And then open it up. It's opened on the wrong screen here. So once it's open, we got obviously a duplicate of the other material we just made. So the only difference is in here is we want to select this emit one, change the value to 200, so it really bumps it up. You see it flash really bright now. Look at that. And on this big node right here, the result node, we want to select it, and where it says material domain surface, hit that and change it to light function. So now you can see it's really bright when it's on and black when it's off, because this is going to be used on the light itself, the actual bulbs that we create in our blueprint. So we can close that down, and now inside our blueprint we want to make some lights for the indicators. We need to make 4 of them, so let's just duplicate one of these. Duplicate, and I'm going to call it signal, what's this, rear right, rear R. So it's this one over here, and I'm just going to reposition it a little bit, say like that, and then I'm going to duplicate again and change it to L. So it's now going to be the rear left. We're going to pull it over there and then just rotate it around that way. That'll do us. And then I'm going to do some for the front, so I'm just going to select them both and click duplicate, and we want to just change this to front, and this one also front, so it's front R and front L, and we select both of those and drag them forward. Oh, I'm all over the place with this view right now. So the left one here, we're going to rotate it. Rotate it to be facing that kind of direction. I'm going to move it there, and then do the same for this one. I'm going to rotate it like that and move it there. The reason I'm moving it on the side on the wing there is because, oops, oh man, my camera's all wrong here. What's going on? Oh man, what have I done? Alright, I fixed it. Right, the reason I'm putting them on the wing there is because I'm not making a separate one for this, so it's just going to be kind of, it'll be representing both of those, because this one ain't going to give off much light anyway. So anyway, now we've got those lights set up here, and you want to make sure that they're all set to be switched off on visibility, and mine are by default because I duplicated from this one, which is already switched off. Now we want to select all 4 of them, scroll down till you find light function, and now we're going to select the signal light that we created, which is this one, the one that goes really black, signal light. So that is now going to control the brightness of the light. Right, so we'll just compile that, and in here, this is the code from my last 2 tutorials. If you want to follow those, like I said, you can, but they're not needed for this one, so don't worry if you don't have it. Also, ignore these 2 variables here. That's something else I'm kind of working on as well, so ignore them. You don't need them either. Right then, so we are gonna need to set up some variables first, so let's do that. So starting off, we will do always on question mark, and that's a boolean. We're gonna do signal on left, so put L, and then we're just gonna duplicate that and change the L to an R. So we got signal on R, signal on L, and always on. And then we're gonna need required rotation, and we're going to change that to a float, and then we're going to also get start rotation also be afloat, we're gonna need one called, oops, material index, for lack of a better name, on like that, and it's gonna be an integer. And then we can, oops, then we can duplicate that and call it material index off. And the last one we're going to need is one called direction, and this will be a name. So there we go. That is all our variables that we're going to need. So let's start off by right clicking and typing in hazards. We've got hazard light input action. Of course, this is referencing this here. So we've got that now. So let's start up setting up the basics of it. So we're going to pull off there and type in set material, and it's mesh in brackets. So we're going to hit that one. Mesh is referring to this mesh up here. And remember, we have the element 13 and 14. Left was 13, right was 14. So we should rename them there. Oh, by the way, we need to change this. This one's flashing here, so we need to change this one to signal off. So they both got signal off on them. So 13 was left, so not that it matters on this particular setup right here, but it will matter later. So we'll just copy and paste that, get another one in here, and put a 14 in there, so we're affecting element 13 and element 14. And I'm just going to drag that into the target there, so it's plugged into both of them. And the next thing we're going to pull off here and type in set visibility. And this is going to reference, because we're doing the hazard lights, this is going to be switched on, and we're going to grab all 4 of our signal lights here, plop them in there, and plug them all into the target. So we affect them all at the same time. Also, we need to, if you click Alt and drag out 4 ways, we will set 4 ways to on. And then lastly, we will Alt again, pull out Signal L and Signal R. And we're going to set those both to off, because we want them to be off if the 4 ways are on. It might be confusing, but it'll make sense later on. So that is what happens when we put the hazards on. Now when we turn them off, what we're going to do is grab those 4, copy and paste, put them down there, plug all the wires in where they need to be, and all of these like that. Turn this off. And then we can plug that into that. Just for good housekeeping, we'll move them down. This is going to be switched off. Basically the opposite of what's up there. Now then, these, we forgot actually to select these signal on. And this one should also be signal on. And then these ones, of course, should be signal off and signal off. And what I want to do here is do a quick check to see if the 4 ways are already on. So we're going to pull that out by holding Control and drag, and put a branch off of that, plug that into the branch. So we're going to check when we press the hazard warning light button, which is R. When we press R, we're going to see if they're on or off. If they're off, we're going to turn them on. If they're already on, so it's true, we're going to turn them off. Could actually swap those around, really. Make more sense. Put them like that. Bring them down. Yeah, that makes a bit more sense. There you go. So now we can just, there you go, and that's our hazard warning. So let's just compile, press play, see what we get. So if I press R, there you go, all's on, the light materials are flashing, and the bulbs are actually emitting light, so that is good. It's the wrong color light, they are red, but if I press R again, it should knock them off. There you go, job done. So let's just grab all of these signal lights, and you see it's red, but there, let's change that to an orange like that. That'll look nicer. Let's just see. Yeah, that looks better. Looks more natural. You can adjust the light. Let's have a look. 30. Pop it down to 20 maybe. And yeah, that looks okay. Looks a bit more believable. Right, that's the hazard warnings done. So now let's move on to the signal buttons. So if you type in signal left, then while we're there, we may as well get signal right. These are the other two buttons we made. So signal left, signal right. And first thing we want to do on both of them is, again, like we did with the 4 ways, we want to check if the signal is already on. So that way, if it is, it'll turn it off. So let's just copy and paste that branch. But over here, we want to check signal R. So we'll check that. Oh, check that. Plug it into that. So that's the first check we're doing. Then we are going to get set the direction. So Alt and drag out of there. If it's on false, we're going to click false, select false into there. I want to copy and paste that and do the same. It's kind of just doing it all, copy and pasting a lot with this code. What I might do is just carry on with the left side, and then we'll just copy and paste and change the values. So we'll do that. We'll do that. Sounds good. Right, we're now going to set the left to on, because this is the left key, and set the right to off. So that's those two done. Then we want to get the material index. We want to set that, and the material index off. We want to set that. So plug those in. So the material index on, because it's left, remember we said it was 13, and the off one should be 14. And then we're going to set other 4 ways on, and we're going to set them to off, so that's good. Next, we're going to set the materials. So let's just copy and paste, grab 2 of them, copy and paste there. We're going to, we need to get the mesh as a target. Plug it up to there, chuck that one in there as well. And I want to grab we're going to control grab the material index on and drop it into there, and control drag the material index off, drag it into there. So the on one, remember we're setting here, is going to be 13, and the off one is going to be 14. And then right after that is set visibility again. Could have copied and pasted that again, I suppose. Visibility be on for that one, and off for that one. And again, we're going to chuck some variables in here. So for the left, we are going to need the left. Well, I only got one there. Front left, so rear left I want to get as well. Plug them two in. So they're going to be switched on for this one because it's the left button we're pressing. And then the signal rear, signal right I meant, are going to be plugged in and turned off. And also to select these, actually we're not going to turn them on and off. We are going to grab the signal L and plug it into that, and the signal R, and this is control drag in again, plug them into that. So it's getting that information, of course, from here. Signal L is switched on, signal R is switched off, so it's going to do the appropriate thing right there. So now what we need to do is just grab those, paste them into there, plug them in, plug that into there, and just switch these over. So for the right button, we want that to be off, we want the R to be on, and we want the on index to be 14, and the off index to be 13. And that's looking good. Let's compile, let's press play, open it up. So if I press Q, man, you know, I forgot to do, yes I did, look, this one here needs to be switched to signal off there, and I think that might fix it. If I press Q, yep, I get the left indicator. If I press E, I get the right indicator. If I press E again, it doesn't switch it off. If I press R, press R again, it does, or Q, sorry, it doesn't switch it off. But if I press R, I get the hazards. Press R again, it switches them off. I press E, and then the hazards, it switches to the hazard. Press Q, or E, sorry, I'm getting confused. So it switches fine between the three keys, but if we double tap like Q, it does not switch it back off. Now, the reason for that is because we need to make a custom event, and it's going to be called, I don't know, all off. We'll just call it all off, and we'll plug it into this, is it? No, we need to plug it into this one up here, because this is the one that switches them all off. And then we need to just call that from here. We pull this off and type in all off, and I'm not talking about the snowman, all off. That's all off. Yeah, that should be all we need for now. So let's press Q. Left indicator. If I press Q again, knocks it off. E again, knocks it off, and R knocks it off. Awesome. Now all we need to do is get the rotation to get the auto off working. So we're gonna need these. So let's make a little function here just to keep things well organized. So off of this, we're gonna type in switch on name, and with this selected, we're gonna go up here, decheck the default. We don't need one of them. We need two inputs. So the first one will be called left. Second one will be called right, and that is it. On this functional, we want an input, and that input's going to be called direction. I did not spell that correctly. Direction, right? And this is going to be a name. We're going to plug the direction into the name, so depending on if it's left or right, it will fire off different pins. Now what we need to do is get rotation of get actor rotation. There you go. Get that, right click the pin, split struct pin, and we only want the Z location. So what we want to do is get a required location. No, we don't. Move that aside. Get our start rotation, and if we go to the left there, we're going to plug the Z into there. So we're going to set, whenever we press to turn an indicator on, it's going to get our rotation, get the Z value, because that's all we need. It's going to set start rotation as that value, and then because this is the left, I've already checked this out, it needs to be a negative number. So we want to minus float, and it has to be 90 degrees. Then we're going to set that value as the required rotation. So when it reaches negative 90 degrees to the rotation of where it's set when you press the button, if you know what I mean, it'll switch off. So that's that. If it's right, then we're just going to grab those, kind of make it symmetrical there, so it's kind of neat and tidy. This time we want to plus, that's not plus, we want to float plus float, and then this will be 90 again. So this time we are plus in 90. So let's drag out required rotation again, plug that into there, plug that into there. So there you go. Hope that makes sense. If you're going left, it's going to get a rotation minus 90 from it, and set that value as the required location. If you press right, it's going to plus 90 and set that value. Hope that makes sense. By the way, we need to name this, I don't know, get angle, say, whatever. So that sounds about right. We're going to get the angle that we need. So let's just make a little room here. Drag this out there, and then we're going to drag out get angle, plug it into this, and we need to plug our direction in. So that is there, control drag there, and remember that's being set over here, so it's left or right depending on which one it is. So it's then going to get that angle and set it over here. So now we just need a little loopsy. So what we're gonna do is check if the 4 ways are on, because if the 4 ways are on, we don't want this loop to happen. So let's just plug that in. So that's the first check we're gonna do, and then if it's false, we're gonna do another branch. We're going to, let's just grab this get rotation again, copy, paste it down there. We want to check the Z rotation against the required rotation. So what I'm going to do is pull off of there and type in equals, and we're looking for rotator. So equals rotator. Disconnect that because that's the wrong place. So these 2 pins here are looking for rotation. So we're going to right click and split them both. So we're going to grab this Z and plug it into that Z. Plug this one into the bottom Z, and that's going to go there. So when this value matches this value, trigger this. But this here is the kind of degree of accuracy, and that is very accurate, 0.0001. We don't want that. What we want to do is give it, I don't know, 20 degrees. So as long as it's within 20 degrees of this rotation, and we want the indicators to knock off. Right then, so if it when it does reach that, this will fire true. So we want to do all off. So that'll knock off the indicator. If it's false, we want to just do a loop, and we can't just drag that into that because we'll get an infinite loop detected. If it did not give it infinite loop detected, that's strange. Usually it does. Okay, so press play. All right, then that seems to work, but let's press. No, see, there you go. It waited until I got that far. Errors on my error screens over here. Infinite loop detected. There you go. So what we need to do is pull off here and do a delay. And we can leave it at 0.2. And we just tidy this up a little bit. I don't know, like that for now. We pull this up. 1 second. I'm going to do some of this for good housekeeping. And there you go. So now it will, if it's false, this does not match this, it'll just keep looping to there, and then it should fire true when it reaches the right rotation. So if we press play now and we go up, if I turn my indicator on, I can switch them nicely, and then let me just pull out of here and let's go up here. There's a right turn up here somewhere. So if I put my indicator on and I turn, it should automatically switch off. It does. Oh, where's my lights? Oh, my lights are on. I pressed every button going here, haven't I? So let me go back to the road. So if I put my left indicator on and I make a left turn, it switches off automatic. Now the reason I did the 4 ways condition branch to break the loop was that if you had your right indicator on and then you decide to put your 4 ways on, you don't want it to turn off when you turn the corner, which it doesn't, so that's good, it works fine. If we didn't have this check right here and this loop just went back to this, then it wouldn't do that. It would still, let me show you. We plug that into that, and so if I put my left indicator on and then I decide to switch my hazards on, when I turn left, it'll switch my hazards off. You see that? So we don't want that. We want it to go and check this is on every loop. And that is that. And just so you can see this in action, you can see this loop. If I just make this a bit smaller. So when I press my left, my right indicator, whatever, you can see that's firing there every 0.2 of a second. And then when I turn, it fires off true and stops the loop. So it's okay to run that, that's fine. And that is it, guys. It is over. That is all you need to do. And it's not that bad. I know this video might have gone on a bit long, but of course that's showing you and explaining everything. Once you know what you're doing, you can do this in like 10 minutes. So that is it. The next video I'll be looking at doing will probably be engine noises, engine sound, because that has been requested at least twice. So I'll be looking at probably doing that for the next video. So if that is something you want to see, then jump aboard and hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for the next one. I'm gonna park up here and show off by putting on my foul ways, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now, is me out. Good night.